In today's video, I rank the top 5 best Battlefield maps of all time. This is quite an undertaking because there are well over 100 maps within the entire series, ranging from incredible to less than stellar. But let's take a crack at it anyways, and if you enjoy the video, leave a like and subscribe. Let's get started. Number 5, Caspian Border. There's a reason this map has appeared 3 times in the series so far. Battlefield 3, in my humble opinion, had the best selection of base maps within the entire series, and the DLCs only improved on the incredible design elements of these maps. Which is funny to say now because I'm old enough to remember when the first images and information on Battlefield 3's maps was released back in the day. The community was pretty outraged, well, as it almost always is, at the smaller and more tightly focused design when compared to the larger maps of, say, Battlefield 2. While Battlefield 3 had the best designed maps from a game mode perspective, with some maps excelling in Rush and others in Conquest, Caspian Border was the definitive Conquest experience for me in Battlefield 3. And seeing it return in Battlefield 4 with a new autumn look and Levolution was just awesome. The map just lends itself so well to the large-scale mixed infantry and vehicle combat that defines this series for me, and fighting over the high middle ground can get insanely intense. The river running through the map and trees provide really good dynamic infantry gameplay and cover, and I love fighting over and engaging in almost every area of this map. And it has so many different elements that just come together so well. It also helps that it was featured in one of the best trailers the series has ever seen, and the gameplay really lived up to that promise. The superior design and flow of Caspian Border were actually really highlighted for me in Battlefield 2042, not necessarily because of its version of it, where it was featured in Portal, but going from one of the base maps of 2042, the worst within the entire series by far, to Caspian Border was like turning a light on in a dark room, and where we were once blind, we now see. Here's hoping Caspian Border continues to be featured in future Battlefield titles, as it deserves to live on. Number 4, Gulf of Oman. The year is 2005. DICE has released the demo for the legendary Battlefield 2. You load in, your crappy PC starts smoking, barely able to run the menu, let alone the game on anything above ultra low, and even with low graphics, you drop into this gorgeous, huge, and detailed map, Gulf of Oman. Jets, tanks, helicopters, infantry, and amphibious assault, it's all here with 64 players. A complete open Battlefield playground. In a game full of classic maps, Gulf of Oman stands out for me as one of the definitive Battlefield 2 experiences. Whether it was assaulting the beachfront from the aircraft carriers the US forces, or holding the line as the MEC, Gulf of Oman offered so many interesting gameplay opportunities, with lots of verticality and urban fighting mixed into the beach and river elements. One of the few maps where enemy boats spotted actually applied. Enemy boat, spotted. I loved cruising up the river as a Special Forces class to eliminate enemy aircraft and artillery with C4 behind enemy lines. And again, it's a testament to how good it is that it also returned in Battlefield 3 and 4, with the 4 version featuring a unique and atmospheric sandstorm event that would sweep through the area. Whether it was battling IFVs on the beach, doing jumps with the dune buggy, or fighting in the construction area in Crane, the map just has it all. And while I've enjoyed almost every installment or every version of it, and it's just as fun and dynamic in each one, nothing will really top that first time loading into this map in Battlefield 2 for me, from a nostalgic perspective. That being said though, I think I preferred the Battlefield 3 version over 4. The sandstorm was cool, but also a little annoying, and I just enjoyed the overall atmosphere and aesthetic of 3 over 4 personally. Number 3, Passchendaele. No map within the entire series of Battlefield captures the bleakness, hopelessness, and overall general crappiness of war like Passchendaele. A twisted nightmare landscape flanked on one side by a hellish fire and clouds of poisonous gas on the other, Passchendaele is one of the most atmospheric and intensely realistic multiplayer maps I have ever played. The way the mud, rain, and textures blend together in this ruined landscape and how it portrays the devastation of World War I is just incredible. The design of the skyboxes and distant firefights makes you really feel like you're on the front of a massive conflict not really seen many other times in the series. Fortunately, it has a lot more going for it than just world-class audio and visual design, as I find this map extremely fun and intense to play on. The close-quarter trench warfare with tanks rolling over the landscape and crunching through barbed wire, and broken buildings making engagements really unique as you try and push or defend against the enemy. This is another map that I enjoy on pretty much any game mode. Unlike the first 2 entries, Passchendaele is almost primarily an infantry-focused map, with only 1 tank per team and a few horses thrown into the mix. It's a muddy, bloody slog, and it's fantastic. One of the most beautifully realized maps in the entire series that enhances the experience and pays respects to one of the deadliest conflicts and battles in human history.
Is there a problem, officer?
No problem. Just rush hour.
Let's talk about Rush, one of the best additions to the franchise and, well, ever. Rush was a legendary game mode made more legendary by the tightly focused and designed maps of Bad Company 2. However, no map encapsulates the pure chaotic adrenaline rush that is Valparaiso. From the push out of the jungle into the small seaside villages, blasting apart the small buildings and clearing cover for defenders with Bad Company 2's awesome destruction, past the lighthouse paths watching for snipers, through muddy roads to the military checkpoint, Valparaiso was an absolutely beautiful map with gameplay that stands to this day. The significantly more focused and narrow play area made Rush in particular intense and full of edge-of-your-seat gameplay moments. Both attacking and defending in those final few seconds or witnessing a strong push are memories I hold near and dear. Bad Company 2 featured really excellent map design in most cases, with some really frustrating stinkers, so a really close second to this would be Erica Harbor, but I think the overall design and aesthetic of Valparaiso narrowly beats it. While it was nice to see this map again in Battlefield 2042's Portal, it's just not nearly the same without the gameplay of Bad Company 2, and like all the Portal maps for me, it feels a bit underdeveloped and slightly disappointing. Still, an incredibly fun and designed experience. Before we move on to number 1, a few honorable mentions. Dam of Van Peek is definitely one of the most memorable and iconic maps from the series, featuring some truly unique designs. It was one of those holy shit moments that made you realize how next-gen Battlefield 3 was at the time. However, as insanely epic as the push down the mountain to the base jump was, and still is, it didn't quite crack my top 5 due to the tunnel points immediately following the base jump. These points turn into a bit of a meat grinder and lose a lot of the energy leading up to them. Once you break through, it's great again, but that tunnel for attackers is really the stuff of nightmares. Parasail Storm also deserves a mention for how epic and fun the storm and sea play into the gameplay. Once that storm rolls in, it completely changes the vibes and energy of the map, making it much more intense in my opinion. With 2042's setting of climate change catastrophes occurring everywhere, this is more what I pictured instead of a copy-pasted tornado on every map. Also, shout out to Propaganda, one of the best designed and most fun urban maps in Battlefield 4. I love the clean aesthetic of this map and its setting, and I wish we saw more of that within the series. And last honorable mention is Wake Island because, well, it's Wake Island. No matter how many times it's remade and reimagined, though, nothing really matches the scale of Battlefield 1942, where you could pilot the destroyers and even the aircraft carrier. Battlefield really needs to return to this scale of warfare. Number 1, Strike at Karkan. Strike at Karkan for me is the best urban map in the entire series. Playing hours of the Battlefield 3 version with my brother was some of the most fun and favorite moments in FPS gaming I've ever had. I do love my big open playground maps, but there's so much to be said about warfare in a war-torn urban environment that ups the tempo, tactical opportunities, and overall intensity of the battlefield. The map was again legendary, and I know I've used that word a lot, but all of these maps really are. But back in the Battlefield 2 days with 24/7 Karkan servers being the most popular in the game, and despite the, let's be honest, ugly dusty visuals and horrifying grenade spam, Karkan remaining the favorite map from Battlefield 2 really speaks to how well designed it really was. And as iconic as the Battlefield 2 version really was, it really was the return to Karkan in Battlefield 3 that makes this map my number 1 favorite of all time. The combination of Battlefield 3's intensely fun gunplay, the muted and washed out colors just working so well in this environment, and the glorious destruction of almost everything makes this map truly something special, and it's still just as fun to jump in today as it was back then. Sorry for those that like flying and my pilot buddies, but maps this well designed without buzzing helicopters or aircraft are really just the best in the game, with Strike at Karkan standing alone among them. If DICE ever returns to even a sliver of the brilliance and fun this map brought, then I would be really happy. Strike at Karkan is the most Battlefield map of the Battlefields for me. That's it for me list. Wow, me list. I'm going pirate here. My list. Let me know in the comments how much you agree or disagree, and again, if you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe for more. That's it for me today. Until next time.